continue with another practice for extrude, and then we'll see some more commands that are in the 3D workspace. So we've got another drawing now. Let's try and make this quickly, and then we will look at some other commands. Okay, so you all can just take a screenshot of this and try making it yourself, or you can follow along. Basically, there is no correct method or direction that you need to follow to make this, but let's just go ahead and make it one way or the other. So let's make a rectangle of dimension 110 by 15. Actually, it's 110 by, let's just trying to see this width. That's 50, so 110 by 50. Let's quickly start a sketch. 110 by 50. And if I directly press extrude from here, I don't actually have to finish the sketch as well. So that saves me some time. And this is basically how you get faster at designing. So we very quickly made a sketch. Let's quickly see how much we have to extrude. It's 15 mm vertically. So let's give it 15, press enter. Okay. There is a small square at the center, 30 by 30. And it is also extruded 50, and it is at a distance of, can anyone see? If you can see, you can do it yourself. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out how far is it from the edge. So I can see that it's 90 mm from the back edge. So the front edge of the square is 90 mm from the back edge of the rectangle that we just created. So let's do that. I can turn off the hidden edges if that is confusing. Let's make a sketch on this. So in the center, if I make a line that is 90, construction line. Let's try another rectangle. Let's try a center rectangle. Let's give it random dimensions. I could have given it 30 by 30 already, which would be faster, so you can do that. I'm going to do that now. So 30 by 30. And let's try another constraint, which is coincident. So I'm making this, not this. I'm making this line coincident with this line. And we can make another coincident, this point on this line, right? So that's our square. Let's quickly extrude that. That was 15. There you go. Let's see what else. So we need this pillar. We can see that there's a cutout on the top all the way through to the bottom. So let's see another command, and that will hopefully give you another way of making the same thing. I mean, you can build another rectangle here, extrude it, and then extrude in this direction. But let's try something new. Okay, so we know that from the bottom of our first rectangle or cuboid actually that we made, it we have the topmost plane 80 mm above, right? So let's make a new plane, and for this, what we are going to use is construct. So let's make an offset plane. For that, we just click on that, or you can click on this and select offset plane. There are a lot of options from construction. You can make axes, planes, and vertices. So we are right now making a plane. So we want to offset a plane essentially. So let's select the bottom plane and let's rotate the space. And we know that it is 80 mm above. So we got a new plane which is 80 mm above the original base plane, right? So let's make a sketch on this one now. And to make it less confusing, let's hide the body that we already made. So let's see what we have to make now. So we are aiming to make this shape. We have a circle at a 40 mm distance from this point. So we have this circle of 30 dia. Actually going to see that. So one thing that might help, because we've already hidden the bottom plane, and from here we can see another command as well, which is project. We can get some of the edges from the previous 3D model into our current sketch. And that is done using project. So if you go to create and click on project, and the shortcut is P, and you click on that, you can select anything that you've created previously that's in 3D now. And you click, let's take this edge, for example, we will use this edge and we can project that. And if I turn off, I still have that line. So any line that is pink is basically a projection. So let's use this and draw a center line. So we should still get the midpoint. And we saw, I'm going to check again, we saw that at a distance of 40 mm, I have a circle because this is a construction line. So let's make it X, quickly make a circle of dia 30. Next thing we can see is we have another edge which is concentric to our inner circle, and the radius for that one is 30. So either we can make another circle of radius 30 or we can offset the current one. So let's make another circle maybe. So because we have to enter the diameter, so we can enter 60, which we know which is the double of radius. But what I also want to show you that we can do small math computations. So if you know that the radius is 30 and we know that the diameter is double of that, so instead of calculating it ourselves, we can write 30 times 2, and that should do the computation itself and should make a circle for us with a diameter of 60, as you can see here as well. Okay, I think we made a mistake somewhere. So what I think is that I've given one of the dimensions wrong, and let's see how easy or difficult would it be to fix. I think it's wrong in this drawing actually. Oh, it looked like 50, but it is actually 60. So we need to fix this. So let's see how difficult or easy would it be to fix that quickly. So what we actually need is that this base of our cuboid has to be 60 instead of 50. So because it is a parametric software, it should be easy for us to make changes. Let's see, if I quickly make it 60 here, which was the very first rectangle, and you can see I haven't deleted anything, I'm just going to change that dimension. And if I close that now, everything that I've done after that is adjusted, and that's it. It's that easy. So this was a good demonstration of actually showing how to go back in the history that is recorded and modify something which we maybe by mistake put a wrong value or something, and now we can see that it's correct. Right, so let's go ahead and make whatever's left in this drawing. So I'm going to make some rectangles and then trim out some of the edges, so we know that we don't need this from the sketch. You can refer that if you want. So this looks like halfway done, I would say. What we need now is the slot, which is basically 15 mm from both edges, and we have a hollow in the center. So you can make it however you want. Let's just make a rectangle here. So we know that total length is 60 and we have two 15s. So it has to be here 60 minus 15 minus 15. There you go. And the second dimension, which is the width of that slot, let me quickly check that. That is 10. Okay, so let's go and give that value as 10. And also where you place your cursor decides how your rectangle is going to be, because that will be the second point. So let's just make that slot there. Again, to check if our dimensions are correct or to place this correctly from this edge, we can put this dimension and it has to be 15, which was correct already. So we have got the sketch that we want, the closed figure. We can actually leave this as it is because this is a slot. We ideally would want to trim these edges, and it's a good idea to trim them. But you can see that there's still a projected edge there, so it doesn't really matter even if you trim it, because you can't really remove the projected edge unless you delete the whole edge, which we do not want. So it will stay there, but what we can do is we can still just make sure that we are extruding just this region. So we have three different regions now, and we know that this is the one we have to extrude. So let's quickly extrude it. We know that we don't want it all the way, so let's see how thick it is. So it's 15 mm. So let's make it. So one thing you can see is that the arrow is pointing upwards. So if we want to extrude downwards, we can give a dimension of -15, and that should sort it for us. Okay, the only thing left now is to make the back end of the pillar, and that's just a rectangle which is 15, and we don't really have to make any new sketch. We can just quickly go back, edit the previous sketch, and just do some more extrusions. So let's go back and click on this sketch that we made before this. It's basically a rectangle from here to here with the dimensions of 15 by 60. There you go. This is what we are trying to extrude. So another way of extruding is, if even if you don't want to give the dimensions, is just clicking the first plane, which is the region that you will select, and then clicking until where you want to extrude it. So if I do that, it should be able to fill all of that. So right now we see that the operation is cut, but we actually want to join it. So let's just do join instead of cut. Okay. So we can see the latest command that we did is still there. The only thing left is to complete this slot because it is still the very bottom. Again, you should be getting a little bit faster because you can use shortcuts, use snaps, mouse, buttons, and all that. So to extrude, I don't have to give the dimension. I just click the bottom plane and it should subtract it for me. So I think that's it. That's what we were trying to make. Let's hide the sketches and let's check, right? Checking is important. Okay, so looks pretty much the same. Let's check the top view now. Let's enable the hidden edges. Go to the top view. Let's see. There you go. So we've got the back hidden edge. We've got the square. Looks correct to me. Let's check the front view now. Again, as we saw in the previous example as well, Fusion doesn't show the edges for the curved surfaces, but we can see the slot there. And now let's check the side view as well. Yeah, this looks correct to me. So if you've been able to follow along, well done. For you to practice further, there are some more exercises in on the Now Learning Room. There are actually 50 or 40 exercises that you can practice on Now Learning Room. If you actually do 5 of them, which are called the basic exercises, which are pretty similar to what we did up till now. If you do 5 of them and you upload and share the files, then you will actually get a Fusion 360 badge on the Now Learning Room, which you can show off then to your friends. That it basically certifies that you know these commands in Fusion and you have a beginner level in Fusion 360, which will be helpful anyways later for a lot of projects that you're going to do. But what further you can do is that there are some intermediate and advanced level exercises as well, and on those badges. So go on, more you practice, there is something that you can gain from that in terms of skill, definitely, but you can get some badges on your Now Learning Room, which is always a good thing. Okay, so great. If you've been able to follow along, really good, well done. Let's see some more commands that I want to show you. Let's see the offset command again. So we are making another offset plane. And what I want to show you now is a command called mirror, which we also saw in Sketch. So we can select the whole body and we can mirror it about a plane, right? So that's what we need for a 3D mirroring. We need a plane. For Sketch, we just need a line for mirroring. Okay, so we're not going to do that. I'm just going to show you some of the commands. Let's see what are all other things I can show you. So for example, if I want to make the bottom of this hollow, there's a command called shell. Let's try and export that now. Actually, I think it's in modify. Yep. So if you click on shell and you tell it how much you want the thickness of the walls to be, let's say we give it as 3 mm, we can see that Fusion has removed everything from the inside of the base and made the whole body hollow with a thickness of 3 mm, which is really good if you want to save material. Not so good if you're 3D printing specifically. I mean, it's good to save material for 3D printing, but we'll see for 3D printing that it is not the best way specifically for this CAD model to do that. Okay, so that's one command that you can know. Then let me show you some more advanced commands. There's something called split body. So you can actually, as it says, you can split the body along a plane. So you can select the body. If you don't already have a plane, you can make one, but we have a nice plane over here. So if I want to split from here, we can see now we have 3 different bodies. Let's do undo again. So that becomes a single body. What else? So what if we want to make an axis? So because we explored some of the construct commands, we tried to make a offset plane. Let me show you how to make an axis, which is really useful for something that we will be exploring in the coming tutorials or follow along sessions, is basically making a central axis. So if you want to make a central axis for, let's say, any cylinder, for example, we have this hole over here. So if I want to make an axis, I can just select the surface, the curved surface, and it should be able to make an axis for me. So let's keep it like that. We can see that nice little axis. If we want to change the length of that axis, that's possible as well. Great. Um, some more construct commands if you want to make a mid plane, which is basically a plane in between two faces. So for example, we have a plane over here and we have a plane over here, and I want to make a plane in the center. I can either use a mid plane command, and then I can select the two faces that I want to bisect, and I get a plane exactly at the center of it. You can also see that it passes through this axis that we created. So another way of making the same plane could be making a plane through the axis. Okay, so you can see that there's a command called plane at an angle. And if you select a line for that command, you can actually make a plane passing through that line. And the other thing that you have to input to that command is the angle. So you can actually make any plane passing through that line and rotate it about that axis. So for this case, if you want to make a central plane, it will just be at 0 degrees. Okay, so if you've been able to follow this much, I hope you've learned some commands that will be helpful for you in the future sessions. So well done. You can save your commands. Just before we end the session, I want to show you how you can share your files. For that, you first have to save it. Let's call it block. You can call it whatever. Maybe you can say beginner CAD practice 1, beginner CAD practice 2. Then once it's saved, you can go to the data panel. It takes a little while to upload to the Autodesk server. Then you can right click on the file and you can click on share link. You should do this, share the latest version with anyone using this link so that I can actually access it and see that what you've made. Then this is the link that you're looking for. So you just copy this and you save it to the submission file. So it's a text file that you have to submit. So you don't really have to make a text file. If you go to the submission folder, it will ask you for any text that you want to submit. And if you just copy paste 5 different URLs for 5 different files you've made, I'll be able to see that you have made the designs, you've done the practice. Once I'll check those 5 designs, either I'll give you some feedback to improve them, or I will award you the Beginner Fusion 360 badge on now. So hopefully you've learned some of the basic commands for making 3D models, and it will help you get started. And we'll see some more advanced commands in the next session.